I'd like to welcome you all to this, on behalf of the City of Independence, to this virtual Planning Commission meeting on July 27th. For the convenience of those participating in tonight's meeting, I'd like to remind all in attendance, both commissioners and the public, to mute yourself when you are not speaking to prevent distraction and unwanted disruption. Staff will be enforcing this and monitoring those in attendance for questions during public hearings. During the public hearing portions of the meeting, staff will call on those who have requested to speak in the order that they signed up. Following that, anyone else who wishes to speak will be recognized. So for those who wish to speak tonight, please remember to address all comments and questions to the chair and keep your comments brief and on point. If you agree with the previous comment, please just state that you agree. To expedite tonight's meeting, I will ask those who wish to testify or believe they would like to testify to please be sworn in. So do we have one person, is that correct?
I believe there's two on here now.
Okay. If those of you that would like to speak tonight, would you please raise your right hand, put the video on if possible, unmute yourself if you cannot put your camera on. We need to hear an audible do. So with that, do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth before this commission? If so, please say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, let's do roll call and then we'll kind of go over the order of the agenda.
This is Baljeet Badwan. I'm representing Karma Properties for the penmanship LLC case.
Okay, you can hang on. We're not to this case yet. Okay, I'll call the roll here. Commissioner Dreer. Commissioner Ferguson.
Here.
Commissioner Wiley.
Here.
Commissioner Michelle, I'm sorry. Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Preston.
Here.
And Chair McLean.
Here. All right, thank you, everyone. So we're going to rearrange the agenda a little bit tonight in order so that those who have cases before us don't have to stay online for the whole meeting if they don't wish to. We're going to take case number 21-200-04, the body art shop first. Second, we will take the short-term rental. And then from there, we will just start again at number one and just tick through the city items. So I'm going to give you a minute to rearrange your packets. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And then we will need a motion to do our rearranging.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
It
Preston.
is so moved as you have articulated.
All right. It has been moved that we rearrange the agenda to address citizens' items before the cities. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, so our first item on the agenda is case number 21-200-04, special use permit for 10701 East Winter Road, Suite 200, Dante Goodwin, request approval to operate a body shop. So if staff will give their report, please, and then we can hear from the applicant.
Madam Chair, we have a motion and a second, but we didn't actually get a vote on that rearrangement of agenda.
You're right.
Sorry. Probably fine.
Do you want to go ahead? Did you say, what'd you say?
I just said you could do a voice vote. That's probably fine.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Sorry about that.
And it's a body art shop.
That's correct. Okay, Dante Goodwin seeks to open a body art shop at 10701 East Winter Road in Suite 220. I think the agenda said 200, but it's actually 220. It's on the second story. This shows the general location of the building itself. Is in that little triangle created by 18th Street and then Winter Road. It's at the very west end of the Arts District. This is also shows the site location. It's in the Arts District. That's that brown color, kind of brownish red color, with the property outlined in the blue box. You can see the property to the north is zoned residential. Property to the south is zoned residential. There's a couple small office buildings on the north side of Winter Road, just to west of this site. And then there's a couple of small homes on the west side of the site along 18th Street. And then further east on Winter Road is the Arts District that you can see is all the same brown color. This is a comprehensive plan, shows mixed uses for the site. Again, it's very similar to the rezoning map. We've got residential properties to the north, south, and west primarily, much like the zoning ordinance itself. This is an aerial photograph of the site. It shows again the property in the triangle, the red triangle there. As you can see, it's an L-shaped building. It's actually 2 stories, with it's kind of a walkout type of situation on the north side of the building, where it has 2 floors that are visible. And then on the south side of the building, there is just 1 level of floors there. Here we're looking to the north, to the southwest, sort of across Winter Road. That is the, I don't know what you call it, the top part of the L that has the applicant's property in it, is the applicant suite in it, actually on the second level there. This is the other portion of the L. You can see again, there's 2 stories. The top level is actually accessed by the doors on 18th Street. See the parking lot. There are a few businesses in here, but it's not very busy at this time. In the past, it's been used for various office type businesses, not really retail or just mostly offices, insurance, and medical. Okay, here we're looking down Winter Road to the west. That is the building there on the left, and this is the east end of the building. Majority of the Arts District is behind me. That is a church there on the right. And this is all parking lot for the center for this building. This is really about the location of the applicant suite. It's on the second floor of this building. It's incomplete right now. It's just a vacant space. But after this is approved, if this is approved, then he will go in and make changes to the space to make it usable for his needs. This is the side of the building that's along 18th Street. Again, there's doors along here. I think there's 3 or 4 suites along the side of the building. This is 18th Street right here in front of us. Here we're going to go around the site in a clockwise location. Directly across the street, out across Winter Road, is a church. Looking to the northeast at this point, there's 2 houses here. This is actually very close to a short-term rental we did probably a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Okay, here we're looking down, looking the east up Winter Road. That's the mass of the Arts District there in the distance. To the southeast of this property is another church. That's the building there. The parking lot is to the right behind the Hope sign there. This is the house. This is a house on the south side of 18th Street across from the building, the applicant site. And that is another house across from the applicant site. This is a house that's actually zoned commercial, which is immediately west of the L-shaped building. You can see the kind of Spanish style tile shingle there of the building there on your right. This is another building that's just east of the building that we saw. It's also zoned commercial. And we're going to go around to Winter Road. This side of Winter Road, this is another little office building, little commercial building. And next to that is another commercial building. Pretty much this area consists of small offices, not much retail. Staff does recommend approval of this application with the following conditions. The special use permit is restricted to Suite 220, 10701 East Winter Road only. This applicant will obtain and maintain all applicable city and state licenses and comply with all health regulations. And then the 88 spaces on the east side of the building here, I'll go back and show those to you here. Right here, need to be updated, brought into current standards. The signage is not proper on the building, and it needs to be painted on the surface of the space. As mentioned in the earlier today, there are 7 possible locations for special use permits for body art shops. Right now we have 4. This would be 5. I thought there were 5 originally, but no, 1 apparently dropped out. So you have 4. This would be 5. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Not seeing any. We will bring the applicant forward. And
Mr. Goodwin, that's you.
Mr. Goodwin, if you will state your full name and address where you live for the record, please.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
If you will state your full name and your address where you live for the record, please, and then let us know anything you'd like us to know about your business.
Okay, my full name is Dante Goodwin. My address is 9508 Fremont Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri. My business is the Penmanship LLC. I'm a tattoo artist. I've been tattooing for about 5 years now. Also, I'm not just a tattoo artist. I'm a painter. I draw, and I also customize clothes. So that would be filled in as well with the art district as well. So that goes along with that. So I'm just an all-around artist. I love art. Tattoos just one of the things that I love to do, and that's where I want to take this thing. So I've been doing it for a while. I have people that want to apprentice under me, and I have a couple prospects for piercers as well. So I see I have a vision for this. My vision is to, try to bring some revenue to independence, and hopefully I can, if this get approved, I can have a successful business in that area.
Great. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is his vision. How many other artisans will be working in that shop?
As of now, it would just be me. I have some people that's interested, but they're kind of on the sideline waiting to see if I actually get this done. You know what I mean?
Okay. This question is probably for staff, but in this licensing process, what are we licensing? 1 artisan, 2 artisan, or is that at the whim of the applicant? And that's a question to staff.
We're actually basically approving a location. Typical with these type of special use permits, we have the owner of the property. He is licensed as a business, And then each of the artists that are in the business are licensed separately. And as long as they're in the same location, it's all part of the same business. So it's just like a hair salon now usually has a person that owns the property and the business, and then there are separate stylists that rent booths. It's generally the same concept.
Thank you to both the applicant and to staff.
Well,
Madam Chair, may I ask a question of the applicant?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin, so you have regulars that come to you for tattoos regularly?
yes, ma'am. I'm pretty much been seeing a good 15 or more customers a month. It's actually been going up. I don't want to disclose, what I've been making, but I've been doing pretty good, and it's been picking up a lot.
And so how do people find out about you?
I'm really active on social media. I have a big following on Facebook. I'm pretty known all over the city, really. And I just know how to work it. It goes by word of mouth. I have a lot of people that, spread it for me, and I have a lot of supporters.
Got it, thanks.
Mr. Goodwin, this is Cindy McLean. I wanted to, so when you were kind of talking about your dream, I get the impression that you'll also be showcasing the shirts that you do and some of your art as well. So you'll have a retail component to the shop.
Me and Baji was actually thinking about opening maybe another space downstairs, but I was thinking about doing paintings in the shop, and artwork like that, paintings and little things like that. But we're thinking about doing the clothing shop as well.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from commissioners before we move to the public? Okay. I will ask if there's anyone who would like to speak in favor of this project. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this project? Is there an order, staff? Is there an order in which that they will be called?
Madam Chair, we didn't really have a list of people who called in, but I know Mr. Scott Cogger is one person who would like to speak, so we can go with him first and then move on to the next.
Go ahead, sir. And state your name and your address, please.
Okay, yes. My name is A. Scott Cogger, C-A-U-G-E-R.
Thank you. And your address?
My legal address for my business is 923 Northeast Woods Chapel Road, number 164, Lee Summit, Missouri, 64064. My business address is in the Englewood Art District at 109 12 and a half East Winter Road, Independence, Missouri, 64052.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, first I'd like to ask the chair incorporate into the record the 3-page letter I sent to Mr. Stuart Borders, and I copied on members of the Planning Commission, which outline all of my concerns about this special use permit application.
Yes, it is. We have it. So thank you. So if you would go ahead and kind of outline.
Yes, yeah, I'll be happy to. So I think I have about 3 main points. Just to reiterate, I think that the a tattoo shop is incompatible with the neighborhood and adjoining zoning and uses. It was mentioned that there's residential neighborhoods to the north, to the south, and to the south, also to the southwest, which have, kind of vintage homes of the 20s to 40s, and even some Sears and Roebuck catalog homes. In addition, there's 2 churches. There's the Englewood Church and the Northern Boulevard Methodist Church, literally across the street. One is catty corner across 18th Street, and one is directly across the street Inglewood Church is directly across East Winter Road to the north. So I think that a tattoo shop in this location is incompatible with the character of the neighborhood and with the adjacent zoning and uses. I also think it's incompatible with the art district. For Inglewood to survive and prosper, it needs to become an upscale arts, entertainment, event, and hospitality destination. We want Inglewood to be a destination for events, arts, entertainment, shopping, gourmet food, wine, and seasonal happenings. So I don't think a tattoo shop is going to revitalize the Inglewood Art District. And I'll give you a list of the types of businesses that will in the comprehensive plan that was developed for the Inglewood Art District. My third main point is that a tattoo shop doesn't conform to the envisioned use of the district according to its comprehensive plan. The city enacted the ordinance that enabled creation of the Inglewood Arts District. The city, in cooperation with the local businesses and economic development, ICED, did a study to create a comprehensive plan for the Inglewood Arts District. The overall vision for that plan, and I'll show you the document, it's right here. The overall vision, and that's a quote for Inglewood, is set out in this study, which envisions Inglewood becoming an arts and culture center with 5 major categories of businesses. Now, each one of these categories are actually quotes from the study. Number 1, quote, Inglewood Arts Venue. Number 2, performing arts and events. Number 3, wine and dine. Number 4, specialty retail. Number 5, accommodation. So under the first preferred type of business, visual arts venues, they recommend fine arts and crafts, painting, sculpture, pottery, photography, handicrafts. Under, quote, performing arts and events, end quote, they recommend theater, film theater, and live stage. Under the third category, wine and dine, which is a quote, they recommend, quote, eating, drinking establishments, cafes, coffee shops, bakeries, wineries. Under the category of, quote, specialty retail, they recommend design, fashion related retail, that's a quote, boutiques, end quote. And finally, under accommodations, they recommend bed and breakfast hotels. So nowhere in that comprehensive plan are tattoo shops recommended, even mentioned, nor can you infer inclusion of the same in any of the above 5 major categories. Now, one thing I wanted to add based on the staff report, this is going to be near that short-term rental that was discussed a few weeks ago. That's actually the stone house at the intersection of Northern Boulevard and East Winter Road. I've talked to the principals of that venture, and they're not in favor of this application. I not only represent Inglewood Properties LLC in this meeting, but I'm a note holder for the Stonehouse Bed and Breakfast. I lent money for that group to buy it and renovate it. And as a representative of the Stonehouse, I also am against this application. Seems to me that we've got an application here for a business that's not preferred in the Inglewood Art District because it's not recommended in the only comprehensive plan that's ever been written for the district. And secondly, it's not a permitted business under the Inglewood Arts District Ordinance. So implicitly, a tattoo business doesn't conform to the envisioned use of the Comprehensive Art District Plan, nor does it conform to the statutory ordinance which created special arts district. So it seems to me that the burden of proof is on the applicant. And merely stating that while he's in that space, he's going to make art should have no impact whatsoever on his application. And everything else he's talking about doing, he even admitted he's probably going to do it in a different space in that building or a different venue. So what you're looking at here is an application for a tattoo business. In the 10 years I've been managing Inglewood properties in the Inglewood Art District, I have probably talked to 50 or 60 tattoo artists. As soon as the law was enacted in November 2011, for the next 2 years, I had 8 to 10 applicants for tattoo businesses. And since the first 2 years, say 15 through 19, we'd get 3 or 4 a year. The tattoo shop is not the type of business that's going to further sustain the district or revitalize the art district. Those kinds of businesses fall in the category of fortune telling, loan company, payday loan companies, things of that nature. So, I can't envision. I own the Inglewood Road Gallery and Art Space. I can't envision something, which is now the only standalone full-time art gallery in the Inglewood Art District. Back in between 2012 and 15, we had 5. Now we're down to 1. I can't imagine someone, going there for an art event, art show, even, art walk, and then, getting a tattoo on the way home. I can't imagine someone dining at Vivalord's, which is within line of sight, and wanting to see a sign on the east side of this building, tattoo shop. That's the other thing that hasn't come up in this discussion, signage. He's putting the space he wants to rent is facing east. So you're going to be able to see that from the Northern Boulevard Baptist Church. Northern Boulevard Methodist Church. You're going to be able to see this from Vivalor's. You're going to be able to see this from the Stonehouse Airbnb, almost all the way down the corridor of the Inglewood Art District. So I just don't think, we need a lot of businesses in Inglewood. What we don't need is tattoo shops. I've turned, I always give them the law. I give them the special use permit. I give them notes to file from conversations with community development. I help them along as best I can, but I just say, I'm not renting to tattoos. I could have done it. I could have filled all my spaces. I've got an art gallery that's got 8 empty studios. It would be easy for me to rent to 10 tattoo people and fill that up and make a ton of money. But I'm trying to cultivate and promote fine arts, so we can revitalize the art district. So based on the above and what I wrote in my letter, I'm protesting the application.
I thank you for your comments. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak against this project? Stuart, do we have anybody else, or Jordan?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Mr. Goodwin, would you like to respond to those comments?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, the first thing I want to say is this sounds like a guy's personal opinion. Sounds like a guy that doesn't want tattoo shops in that area because of his own personal opinions or whatever. And it sounds like a guy that has 8 empty spots inside of a place that he's not renting anything out on. Also, it sounds like a guy that wants to control what another man is doing inside of his building. Also, it sounds this tattoo where I'm trying to put it at is so far away from the main art district that it's in the corner. It's not even really in the art district as much, so he can have his vision or however he wants to see it. Also, when he said something about the clothing store, the reason I have all intention of opening up a tattoo shop and doing some art in there, but my intention is a tattoo shop. The reason I answered that is because you asked me that question, so that's why I answered it like that. Also, I just really just believe it's just a guy that just doesn't want a tattoo shop there because he just doesn't want it there. He admitted that he has a bunch of empty spots in his vacant buildings, and we have a guy here with a new building that's trying to bring in some younger clients with more energy. To me, it seems like the Inglewood district is really dead when I rode through there. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments before we close the public hearing? Questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like for staff to reconcile Mr. Cogger's comment that while the staff appears to be perhaps maybe even recommend the opening of this business, Mr. Cogger seemed to be stating that it would be an illegal business pursuant to city ordinance. And in as much as staff has the copy of Mr. Cogger's letter, and I think it's somewhere on page 2 where Mr. Cogger questions the legality. So I'd like for staff to reconcile.
Well, I can't speak to the creation of the Special Arts District. I was not involved in that. But the ordinance that established it, that's in our city code, does allow in the personal improvement services body art service as a special use permit. It requires a special use permit anywhere in the city, basically, and the Arts District is no different. Like I said, I was not involved in any of the part of the discussions that established the district, so I can't speak to any of that.
Other concern of Mr. Cogger was the potential onslaught of tens of hundreds, perhaps, tattoo businesses in the art district. If I recall correctly, you cited that there were opportunities for 7 such businesses in Independence. Is my hearing correct or my recall correct?
That's correct. We have basically 7 slots available, 7 locations. We have 4. This would be 5. So if there was another one to go in the Arts District further down, or a couple, I guess it could be possible. I don't think there would be 3 more in that area.
So at most, the art district or anywhere else in the city after this case, if it is approved, there would be room for only 2 more such art shops, tattoo
Basically,
shops.
yes. And this is actually the first person I've ever talked to about wanting to do a tattoo location in the Arts District. Usually they're interested in going on Nolan Road or 24 Highway or 23rd Street, not this Arts District.
So if this commission were to approve this, we're not opening up a floodgate?
Well, like I said, there's only a couple more slots available. So I guess there could be another one go down the street and you could have several artists that work out of that location. But I don't see that happening as far as multiple locations further down in the Arts District.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that clarification. Commissioners, are there any more questions of Mr. Cogger or Mr. Goodwin before we close the public hearing?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I had some questions, and being the new person, so I apologize if.
Oh, go.
So he, and this is just overall, so he spoke on behalf of another company that's not present. Is that acceptable? Or?
Well, Mr. Dante is the applicant, the property owner, I believe, is actually on this call, but.
No, I meant. I'm sorry, when Mr. Cogger
I'm sorry.
mentioned having a vested interest in the Airbnb that was just approved, but they aren't present. I was wondering if that is acceptable.
I think that's a good question. I wondered the same thing.
And
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But I mean, and reading his 3-page letter that was sent to us, I did have some follow-up questions to that. Do we address that as a commission as a whole, or do those questions go to him?
Well, I guess it would depend on the question. As far as generally the way is if someone is opposed to an application, they need to provide some sort of written notice or actually appear in public. To have someone speak for you in a public hearing is, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, but I guess you could consider it a matter of hearsay. Our city councilor is online and maybe he would want to weigh in on that. Mitch?
I'm here. Can you repeat the question? I was picking up Play-Doh from a child.
Commissioner Young, do you want to go ahead and ask that question again?
So the letter that opposed this brought up that he had a vested interest in another company that also opposes this, supposedly, but that other company isn't present right now. So I was wondering if he can speak, if he's able to speak on their behalf if they're not present.
Well, this isn't a court setting. This is an administrative hearing, so the rules of evidence are a bit looser. It's okay if you can take that into consideration, and you could take the letter under advisement, but I think it goes too far to allow someone to make additional comments that go beyond the letter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
But again, that is up to the Planning and Zoning Commission, because again, this is not a courtroom. So the typical rules of evidence wouldn't apply. Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I did have a few questions just about his 3 pages, and Commissioner Preston touched on the floodgate portion, because that was one of the questions that I had as well. But I was curious to see, so under the section that he had of tattoo parlor incompatible with the neighborhood, he mentioned that it's right across the street from the Methodist Church and also Inglewood, and what's not mentioned is that Maywood Baptist Church is actually just the same distance away. And I was wondering if he contacted any of the pastors at those churches or the leadership at any of those churches to see if they would have a problem with this. And also the signage portion of his letter where he talks about, and he mentioned the Vivalor, customers of Vivalor wouldn't want to see it. But, we can see through the display, and where Mr. Goodwin wants to rent from is from the second floor. And we're working under, that comment kind of works under the assumption that his signage is going to be crazy. But if it's on the second floor, it obviously can impede on other people's property. And I don't think having the suite would allow him to have signage outside of his door or his area. I'm not too sure about that, but as far as a Vivalor customer goes, if they walk out and they look to the left, there's a unoccupied business right next to it, and right across the street is an unoccupied business and an empty lot next to that unoccupied business. And when you look to the right, you see the Inglewood Theater sign, and we know how that is sitting right now. So the signage, I just think in that portion of his letter is kind of presumptuous of what his sign is going to look like, and it's not taking into account what customers of walking out of Vivalor see anyway, and that doesn't stop them from attending there. So, basically, those were my 2 major questions that I had. If he contacted anybody in leadership at the churches that were mentioned in his letter, and kind of where we were at with signage, because we kind of don't know what the signage is, but Mr. Goodwin's signage obviously can't impede on anybody else's business in that building. So that was kind of all I had. Thank you.
We can ask Mr. Goodwin what kind of type of signage he's considering. I'm sure he hasn't quite gotten that far, since he's kind of waiting on our decision tonight. Mr. Goodwin, have you given any thought about signage?
I think it's the same thing as Bryce was saying. It just be, located like right outside my door, because there's other businesses that Ajit is trying to put inside of there. So my business is not going to be a big sign taking over the whole side of a wall or something like that. It's just going to be like right in my area, and my door is probably not even going to be is big enough for you to even see from too far of a distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got sign codes. Okay, commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Goodwin? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion of this. And commissioners, we can discuss, or I can entertain a motion if you have any other questions of staff.
Madam
or
Chair,
discuss amongst ourselves. Yes, Mr. Preston.
I certainly want to applaud Commissioner Young's remarks. I think the various churches and probably the ownership of Vivillor, if they wanted to wade in with comment, they know exactly how to access this commission and deliver their comments and make their feelings known. With that said, Madam Chair, I move that in the matter of case number 21-200-04, special use permit at 10701 East Winter Road, Suite 220, and the application of Dante Godwin be approved for the operations of a body art shop.
Thank
with
you.
the stipulations as put forth by the staff.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, staff, will you do roll call, please?
Okay, Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Michelle. Okay, absent. Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-200-04, special use permit for 10701 East Winter Road, Suite 220 has been approved. Congratulations, Mr. Goodwin.
Thank you so much.
We wish you well. Okay. Next case is 21-400-06, short-term rental permit at 1614 West Short Avenue. Joseph and Julie Lopez request approval of a short-term rental. Staff, will you give us a report, please?
Okay. Just had to get this situated. Joseph and Julie Lopez intend to operate a short-term rental on their property located at 1614 West Short Avenue. So looking here at this first slide, this has our vicinity map showing in the vicinity of West Short, which becomes East 16th, there at South Forest. So the areas east of Forest are zoned R6, single family residential. And then we have some multi and duplex to the neighborhood to the west. So the comprehensive plan sees this area as an established residential neighborhood. And this aerial view gives you a dense idea of the layout and density of the neighborhood. Very deep, narrow lots. This house being the third one up from the intersection there on the north side street. And here's the site plan. The applicants will advertise their property with Airbnb and with VRBO. How does the owner plan to limit the number of guests for each stay? Well, the applicant's letter indicates that their 1,400 foot short-term rental will contain 2 bedrooms, one upstairs and one downstairs, each with a queen size bed and a loft area with 4 to 6 twin beds. Now, code allows up to 6 adults and 10 persons in total, not the 12 that was indicated in the applicant's request in the letter. This would be, these numbers would be indicated on the Airbnb and VRBO websites. So how will the owner handle parking if more than one vehicle arrives per bedroom? There's a long paved driveway with 2 off-street parking spots in the back. And if additional cars arrive, there's plenty of room to park on the remainder of the driveway. Further, street parking in this neighborhood is legal, but shouldn't be necessary. How the owner plans to address loud or unruly guests or complaints from neighbors. The local hospitality specialist, what they're calling their property manager, will deal with problems that may occur. She will screen guests before they arrive, and only those with good track records will be allowed. If problems and unruly guests do occur, she will ask them to be more considerate, or they will be asked to leave. The applicants will have an outside camera to monitor people and vehicles as they come and go from the rental unit. Lastly, if the applicants are unable to resolve the issue with their guests, the applicants, of course, can contact the police department. The site has been inspected and approved by the city's fire department and the Building Inspections Division of Community Development. The applicants state that they will provide the required safety items outlined in section 14-420-5A of the UDO. The applicants also indicate trash collection for the property will be provided by Deffenbaugh. So I'll go through the pictures real quick and then the staff recommendation. So again, here's sort of the layout of where the driveway and the garage and its relation to the house on this deep lot here. There we go. And this is directly looking at the house there. And then this is the neighbor to the west. And this is looking up the street to the northeast. And across the street to the southeast. And across the street to the southwest. Staff recommends approval of this short-term rental subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the short-term rental shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupation license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. Number 2, the business must comply with all safety and other standards established in Section 14-420 of the city code. The house may accommodate just 6 adult guests, 10 total, including children. And number 4, no customers will stay at the home when occupied by the property owners. They indicated in their letter that at times they would be back in town and would stay here themselves sometimes. So when that occurs, they wouldn't be on the premises.
Great,
and that concludes. Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't rushing you, honest. Thank you. Okay, would the applicant like to unmute and tell us anything? First of all, state your name and your address and your home address, and then let us know anything you'd like us to know about your project.
Sure. So we're Joseph and Julie Lopez, and we currently live at 908 Foothill Boulevard in Pocatello, Idaho. And we bought this home 20 years ago when we were first married. It was our first home, and we love the area. We have family out there too. We love Independence. We love the history of the area. And the reason we bought the house is because of all of the cute historical. It has historical trim, and it has just, I don't know if you saw the cute outline, the bungalow. It's just an adorable house, and we think that other people would enjoy it as well. By doing this way, and I have to apologize, when the picture was taken, we were in the middle of like redoing the floors and, you know, all of this stuff. And so a bunch of stuff got, that was before the trash got picked up. So it's all gone now, I promise. We are trying to make it look better, not worse. So, and then the whole thing has been repainted. We're trying to make it a place for families. That's kind of our target audience, is so that families that maybe have several children and want a place other than a hotel, maybe a place with a little bit more character, a little bit more class, can come and stay and be close to all of historic Independence and all that it has to offer. So.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the Lopez's?
Madam Chair, this would not be a question for the Lopez's, but rather for staff. If my memory serves me, we did a short-term rental on Short Street or Short Avenue. For purposes of just my own clarification and proximity, we're not overlaying, are we? And we're mindful of that other Short Avenue location that this commission approved.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at our a map here. Yeah, that's a few blocks down the road. So we are in the process of creating a GIS layer that would actually be public too, so people can check this out. But yeah, we are mindful of those previously approved short-term rentals and making sure that we're on top of that requirement as well.
Thank you.
Good question. I had a question about the parking. Can you just explain the parking for me? I mean, I saw the drawing and I can see in the photograph that it's to the side, correct? So cars
Yes.
would just layer, is that?
So in the back, in the very back, I don't know if you can see, there's actually a larger area to park. So you drive down the driveway, and then there's a big paved, both asphalt paved area where you can fit 2 or 3 cars, depending on the size of the cars, going this way towards the house. So
Okay.
that's, and then you can layer as well. But I wouldn't think we would, I really doubt with, you know, the number of people that we have that we would need to do that.
I see. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure I had it in my head. Any other questions of the applicant? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this project? Is there anyone who would like to speak for this project? Hearing none, and no other questions of the applicants, we'll close this portion of the public hearing. Commissioners, I would take any more questions. Staff will take any more questions, or we can entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, just a brief comment. It is for this exact couple that this commission embraced the whole concept of short-term rental, that they may preserve their home and live wherever on this planet they choose to live, and still able to return to our beloved Independence when the opportunity presents itself. It is for this very couple that this commission embraced the whole concept of short-term rental. And it just delights me.
I love that. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in the matter of case number 21-400-06, short-term rental permit at 1614 West Short Avenue, in the matter of Joseph and Julie Lopez, I move for approval of their short-term rental.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Virginia. Okay, it is moved and seconded. Will you take roll call, please?
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir. He's not here. Okay. Oh, yeah, he's no longer here. I'm sorry.
That a proxy vote?
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-400-06, short-term rental permit with recommendations from the city has passed. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you and everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. Best of everything. Okay. Next case is case 21-100-08, rezoning west side of South Oxford Avenue between Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 35th Street. City of Independence requests to rezone the property from C2 general commercial to R12 two-family residential. So, the report, please.
Okay, just a second.
Sorry, I know we got you out of order, so.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is this is an application by the City of Independence. Actually, this case and the following case for some property that's on the west side of South Oxford between Blue Ridge Boulevard and 35th Street. This particular portion of the two cases, or this particular case, involves rezoning a number of duplexes on the west side of the street from a C2 general commercial to R12, which is a two-family dwelling. You can see from the little red oval there, the location of the site. Again, there's a 40 highway to the south. You got the Blue Ridge Boulevard comes down and then goes to the east there. And Blue Ridge Cutoff is just immediately behind this site. This is the zoning map for the area. The first portion that we're talking about is in the blue box, which is the two-family dwelling, or the R12 portion of the two cases. Again, Blue Ridge Cutoff is to the east, to the west. South Oxford, all the properties face South Oxford. Blue Ridge Boulevard is to the north, and 35th Street is to the south. This is the comprehensive plan for the area. Again, we're talking about a residential neighborhood for a use for all this property in the yellow. Here's the aerial of the site. The R12 portion is shown in the red box. The next application will be those three buildings just immediately north of this R12 portion. Again, you can see Blue Ridge Boulevard on the north, Blue Ridge Cutoff on the west, and 40 Highway on the south. Okay, we've got several pictures of both sides of the street, essentially. Here we're on the north end of South Oxford, looking down the street at the houses or the duplexes that are part of this application. And then we've got several examples of the duplexes that are along this row. They appear to be of 2 or 3 different styles. Most of the buildings seem to be of this style here, with the brick on the bottom and the wood above, with a somewhat checkered pattern on the upper portion. Most of these buildings are occupied. There's a few units that are not occupied, but most generally they do seem to be all occupied. And there's a little bit of difference between some of them, but most of them are very similar. Okay, now we're going to go down the east side of the street, which is the property across from the location. These properties are already zoned for residential use, either as R12 or multifamily. Again, they're mostly duplexes on this side of the street as well, as you can see from these two pictures. From this picture, there's another one that's on the the east side of the street, and another one that's on the east side of the street. And then this is a fairly new one, in contrast to the others that were built probably in the 60s. This is built probably in the last decade or so. And here we're actually on Blue Ridge Cutoff, looking to the east. You can't really see the duplexes because of this commercial business and then the road trees between the street, Blue Ridge Cutoff and the property subject sites. So staff recommends approval of this rezoning.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I can tell you that we did not have any calls or any, well, I did have one call because of the sign that was posted in front of their property. They were wondering what it was about, and I talked to her on the phone, and after it was explained to her, she seemed to be fine with that. There are a few of these buildings that are owner occupied, most are rental units.
That answered my question.
Just feels like a cleanup in aisle 7.
Yep.
Is there anyone who would like to, do we have anybody to speak against or for? I still need to ask.
That's what I'm aware of.
Okay, is there anybody who would like to speak for this ordinance? For this case, I mean. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this case? Hearing none, public portion is closed. Commissioners, any more discussion, or we would entertain a motion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
In as much as staff has said the owners are silent and therefore no exceptions, then in the matter of case number 21-100-08, rezoning west side of South Oxford Avenue between Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 35th Street, City of Independence, and in response to the city's request to rezone from C2 General Commercial to R12 two-family residential, I move for approval.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Heather? Okay, we have our motion and second. Roll, please.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-100-08 has passed. Next one, case number 21-125-02, rezoning west side of South Oxford Avenue between Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 35th Street. City of Independence requests to rezone the property from C2 General Commercial to R30 PUD High Density Residential Planned Unit Development and approve a preliminary development plan. Staff, will you give a report?
Yes, this rezoning application involves only that single lot that's north of the duplexes that were in the last application. It actually consists, there's 3 buildings there with basically 4 plexes, 2 of them attached, making basically 3 units. You can see from the location map, it's just slightly north of the area that was outlined before. This is the zoning map. As you can see, the subject property for this application is in the green box, with the previous application in the blue box. And across the street is some R18 properties. This neighborhood's been long established. Not sure why, how it was ever zoned commercial. Blue Ridge Boulevard is off to the west. Blue Ridge Cutoff is off to the west. Blue Ridge Boulevard is to the north. And then further south is 40 Highway. This is the comprehensive plan. It also shows residential neighborhoods for this location. And this is the aerial of the area. Again, the red box shows the 3 apartment buildings. And then the duplexes that are south of that, and then the other locations, the streets around there, 40 Highway on the south, and Blue Ridge Boulevard on the north, and Blue Ridge Cutoff to the west. Okay, this is the south building. These 3 buildings form a little courtyard here. This is the south building. It faces north, and each of those, the little doorways there actually access 4 apartments. 2 on the lower level, and then 2 on the upper level. So there's, as you can see, 1, 2, and then there'll be 3, and then 4 and 5. This is the western building. It faces the east side of the open courtyard. And this is the northern building. It faces south, also the courtyard. This is the back of the north building. As you can see, there's parking along this section of the property. To the east of, to the west is parking lot. Well, it's more of a drive that goes around the building to the other side. There's a few other spaces that are outside this row, but most of the parking is in this row here. This is the lot that's immediately north of the site. I believe there's doing some cleanup on some street paving or something there. I'm not sure exactly. This is a multifamily unit across the street, directly across the street from the applicants or from the site. This is 2 fourplex buildings. And then here we're on Blue Ridge Boulevard, Blue Ridge Cutoff, and looking at the back of the apartment buildings. As you can see, that's the western one there on the right, and then the northern one there on the left. This is some vacant property. There is another little office building just south of this location, but you can see that there's a vacant lot here. And staff does recommend approval of this rezoning. There's not really a preliminary site plan. We're just using photographs of the site to make up that part of the application. Anything that would occur there later as far as new construction, they would have to go back through the preliminary development process.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the staff? All right, I'm going to ask if there's anyone who would like to speak against this case. Is there anyone who would like to speak for this case? Hearing none, we will close the public portion of this. And commissioners, do you have any questions of staff, comments, or motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I think we could tender a motion here in the matter of case number 21-125-02, rezoning west side of South Oxford Avenue between Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 35th Street in response to the city's request to rezone the property from C2 general contractor to R30 BUD high density residential plan unit development. I move for approval of this along with the preliminary development plan.
Sorry, is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, we are ready for a vote.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-125-02, rezoning of west side of South Oxford Avenue between Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 35th Street has been approved. Clean up aisle in aisle 8. That feels good. We're getting some cleanup done. Next one, 21-175-04, UDO amendment number 48, sign regulation variances, permits, appeals, review, and approval. Report, please.
And the cleanup continues.
Yeah.
All right, the city proposes amendment number 48 to the Unified Development Ordinance related to sign regulation variances, permits, appeals, review, and approval. This amendment modifies language to the UDO regarding variances from sign regulations and implements a new review and approval process through a special sign permit application. The UDO currently treats sign regulation variances the same as other variance types. An application is made to the Community Development Department, and that case is heard by the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment decides whether to grant the requested variance based on review criteria outlined in City Code. Under the previous zoning ordinance, applications for sign permits either applied for a regular sign permit for those signs that met the regulations as outlined in the ordinance, or special sign permits for signs that otherwise could not be approved due to setback or other issues with the application. These special sign permits amounted to variance requests from the sign regulations for those applicants. These special sign permit applications were considered by the Planning Commission and not the Board of Adjustment. Staff believes that returning to a similar process will deliver better outcomes for the community. Any requested deviation from the sign regulations in section 14-504 are deviations that may have an impact on neighboring communities' growth, development, redevelopment, or aesthetic appeal to surrounding properties. One of the core principles of the Planning Commission is to guide land use and development within the city. The Planning Commission also considers how those land uses impact citizens and business owners within the subject area. Considering these factors, it is staff's belief that applications for variances from sign regulations are better suited for the Planning Commission consideration. Therefore, staff recommends amending section 14-504-14 and 14-708-02 of the UDO to include provisions that require Planning Commission review of special sign permit applications instead of variance requests through the Board of Adjustment. Staff does recommend approval of this ordinance. And just to clarify, the cost would be the same as a current variance. It would just come through a different process, and then they would be routed to this commission for review, similar to the way we handle home businesses and short-term rentals now, where you would be the final say on an application. And then the applicant, if they were denied, would have the opportunity to appeal to the city council. So with that, I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
All right, commissioners.
I think this is a good move. It's certainly within the purview of the Planning Commission and what we already do. So it appears a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. It makes a lot of sense.
How many of these do you think we'd see?
I would have to go double check, but I would say between 5 and 10. I mean, it's not a huge number. We just feel that this board is probably better to take a broader look at these type of applications and look at the broader impacts.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who would like to speak against this? Is there anybody who would like to speak for this case? Hearing none, public portion is closed. Any other
Madam Chair.
discussion or motion? Yes, sir.
in the matter of UDO amendment number 48 and the request case number 21-17504. UDO amendment 48 and the sign regulation variance permits, appeals and review and approval be approved as presented by staff.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Heather. All right, we're ready for a vote.
All right. Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chairwoman McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-175-04, UDO amendment number 48, sign regulation variances, permits, appeals, review, and approval has passed. Thank you.
Now, this
One-
is something good to keep, I guess, right, in our files for future cases.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have a discussion about the code and code changes at our roundtable probably after.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Okay, next one, UDO amendment number 49. Case number 21-17505, UDO amend, I just said, amend number 49, electronic message board signs. Jordan.
Actually, I'll be doing that one. So
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I can't keep track of you guys.
Yeah, it's all about signs tonight. So thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Rick Arroyo, the Assistant Community Development Director here at the city. Tonight, with Amendment 49, this is electronic message center signs that we have before you today. One of the things that we typically want to take a look at with any of our codes is updating them when they need to be updated. And in this particular situation, we've had a lot of interest from Parks Department and wanting to promote some of the more public areas of our community, and specifically places like the farmers market, the downtown square area, as well as City Hall. One of the things that we looked at in our code currently is it doesn't allow actual signage or electronic message signs. And just to kind of give you guys a brief understanding of what we're talking about here, there's the manual message center signs, and then there's the electronic, and basically they're like changeable copy signs. These are the manual ones, are the ones where you actually pull letters out and pop in new letters to create messages. These are essentially the electronic versions of those. And what we've been wanting to look at is being able to promote some of these areas of our city, which would be in public right-of-way and or public spaces. Currently, our code doesn't allow that. It does allow it for federal signages required by federal law, but not for other government purposes. So in section 14-504-10, we did amend that section to include these types of signs in right-of-way or public areas for other governmental purposes, in this case for like the city. We've also, under the next section 14505.14 or -14, we did look at signage size. One of the things that we do want to look at is kind of what are we, the practicality of 25% sign coverage for an electronic message sign didn't seem very practical. We did do a survey of other cities and other, what you might consider the manual changeable copy signs. 25% was very low, and more practical size was 65%. So we are recommending that that come up to 65% rather than the 25. Excuse me. Excuse me. We did add some specifications in there and clarifications for these types of signs being for freestanding signs. It is in the code. It does appear that that was the intentions. However, it was not explicitly laid out, so we did clarify that. So these would be for freestanding type signs and or monument signs. We did add specifications for the monument signs to have durable masonry or concrete or stone or brick. for the base. So trying to make sure that there is a standard for that. And then the biggest portion of the change is the illumination specifications. Now, one of the things that we did look at is the more current method for figuring out the illumination factor of any of these types of electronic message signs. There's been a lot of studies. There's actually a sign commission or sign group that actually has done a lot of studies and research as to what is hard for people to see at night. For example, if you have cars driving by, you want to make sure you're not creating any kind of distractions or problems with flashing lights or too bright. We did look at some of our neighboring cities. They've actually already adopted this portion of the code. It does seem complex compared to what we have, but it actually does create a measuring criteria that is more of an industry standard for the brightness of what these electronic message signs should be. And so that is a big portion of the update of this code as well. One of the other things that we did specify in here was and it really wasn't explicit, that these signs cannot be, we do have a portion of the code that talks about no animatronic type signs or anything that gives you any kind of impression of animation. But in this particular code, we didn't really have that. So we wanted to make sure that was specified in there. So in here, there's no animations, there's no scrolling. There's nothing that would give the impression of movement. And so there is specifications now as to how long the sign can, well, it's been 8 seconds, that's currently in the code, but then there wasn't really a criteria for how long it would take to flash to the next message. And so we did add that. And again, that's more close to industry standard. So with that, I will be glad to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. It's really very comprehensive. Any questions?
Just a comment, very thoughtful, very thoughtful.
I'm glad I mean, you're really addressing the consistency issues that I think that we have struggled with in this city, on just little things that you don't think you need to think about, but that really add to our eye clutter. And so I just really think this is great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions for the staff? Is there anyone who would like to speak against this case? Anyone who would like to speak for this case? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion or any other comments that the commissioners have.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
in the matter of case number 21-175-05, the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment number 49, I move for approval as presented by staff.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Virginia. Okay, we're ready for roll.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-175-05, UDO amend number 49, electronic message board signs has passed. Thank you, one and all. Okay, approval of minutes. Wait, do I have one more case? No, never mind. Whew, it's a lot to look at on paper. Everybody look at the minutes. I'll give you a minute to kind of go over them.
I see no need for change, Madam Chair.
All right.
Madam Chair, the only change, it shows that I entered the meeting at 6:17. I actually entered the meeting right at 6 o'clock.
I stand corrected, and I noted that, Virginia, that you were present, and it was an electronic flaw. So that minute should reflect that she was here at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
That's true. I forgot about that. That is,
I could hear you and I could see you, but you couldn't see me.
We
You
will,
were there.
we
You
will
were
get that
on.
noted.
Thank you. Thank you.
is there any other corrections? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Minutes are approved with the changes that Virginia was present at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Is there anything that you need to share with us? Like sign code?
Yeah, so since Commissioner Wiley brought up a good point, since we haven't seen each other in how long, do you all, well, a couple things. Do you all use your paper copy of the code? I mean, do you all find that helpful? Do you all have a copy of the code?
Yes.
Chapter 14? Okay, do you like it? Thumbs up, thumbs
It's
down?
very helpful. In fact, I am at a remote site. My printer went down and I value it to the point that I went to a site and had it printed out.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. So the city's clerk's office, we have moved to what's called, I forget what it's called. Anyway, a new software system that's keeping our city code up to date, basically. And so if you go to the city's website, you are able to download, you can zoom into one particular section, or you can do all of chapter 14 and it'll print it out as a PDF. So that's very helpful. But the other thing I was going to suggest is when we are all back in person, or those of us that will be here next month, if you want to bring your books in, we know we've made a lot of changes to chapter 14, probably since you've had them. If you leave those with us, we would be more than happy to get those updated as they need to be, so that you guys can have all of the updated sections. So I think that would be a good idea. So just try to remember to bring those when we meet at the end, I think end of August, right? So
Yeah, boy, that's going to be here before we blink.
it is. And then the other item I had was thinking back to last meeting, where we also gave you guys some new powers from the Board of Adjustment on reviewing those appeals for non-residential design standards. And then this week when we did those sign variances, be thinking about how you would like staff to present that information, or what additional information in staff reports you would like to see. If you looked at the changes this week, there is a section in there that kind of lists some of the review criteria that we will be including in our staff report, and that we will be using to make our recommendations to you. But if there are things, you know, information about surrounding properties, you know, what the current signs look like, you know, things like that, that maybe are above and beyond, that would make your jobs easier when we review that. And I know it may be hard to do without having a case in front of you. And as we do all the time, if we come forward with a case and you guys decide after that case, it'd be easier if you had an additional piece of information, you know, we can change that going forward. But just be thinking about what you guys might like to see when it comes to those. And I'm thinking specifically of last meeting's changes, those to the non-residential appeals for those design standards, because that's a little bit more nebulous as far as what we're looking at to make those recommendations, and then what you guys will see from the applicant. So I don't expect any answers tonight, but kind of take a look and see what if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and just maybe at a future roundtable, let us know, or shoot staff an email with some thoughts, and we can bring those forward at a future discussion time.
Okay. I do think the more pictures, at least for me, the more pictures of the surrounding area is helpful, so we can see whether it marries well with that area or makes sense in that district. And then on the signage, it's kind of the same thing. It'd be nice to see what surrounding signage looks like. Does it make a comprehensive picture for that district or that area? And then what always helps me is like having a person, you know, a drawing of a person, you know, in juxtaposition next to the sign. Like, how tall is it compared to this 6-foot person, or, you know, whatever they do in architecture. you know,
Yeah,
And-
something for scale.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that shows scale. I find that very helpful.
Okay. All right. Well, we will at least make sure that those, as of now, those items will, you know, pictures and some kind of scaling for those things I think is important. So, all right. I think that wraps it up from staff. So unless you guys have any discussions you want to undertake, I think we're ready.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything for the greater good? I just wanted to reread this. I thought this was very helpful in the case number 21-17504 on the second page. It says, one of the core principles of the Planning Commission is to guide land use and development within the city. And the Planning Commission also considers how those land uses impact citizens and business owners within the subject area. And I just thought that was just a really good reminder to me. It's not like we don't know that that's what the job is, but sometimes we can get sidetracked by, you know, different comments and those that are speaking for or against or biases. And so I just thought that was a gentle reminder of what we really are here to do. And it just encapsulated it really nice. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week. And this is adjourned.